Hello, this is Andrew from the Pop Culture Brews podcast. We're the podcast where we take pieces of pop culture we absolutely love, we do deep dives on them, and then at the end of the episodes, we reveal to you the beers we were inspired to make by it. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple iTunes, and all of the usual suspects. And you're currently listening to Josh and Tyler on the 30 and Nerdy podcast. After you've listened to these guys, why not come check us out and have a pint?
Cheers to you.
Cheers to you, JD.
Nothing like a nice cold cherry Coke on a Friday. Happy
Feels
Friday,
great.
everybody.
Happy Friday. Sorry for the general entrance for everyone, but this is a follow-up Friday. This is not a regular Wednesdays for the Nerds episode. We told you to come back follow-up Friday for more of The Witcher, and here you are.
Welcome back.
Here you sit listening to our velvety voices again.
Maybe I won't have any coughing fits this
Yes, I hope not. Now I have a bit of a frog in my throat. Baby Yoda would love that.
Oh.
So
we could get rid of it for you.
the flu has been running rampant through our cast at a chorus line. We have been slowly dropping like flies. There's now 6 out with flu and strep. But I was like arrogant, and I was like, I don't really get sick. I mean, what that means is I don't get the flu. I do get sinusitis pretty easily, and normally it's this karmatic event after I've said, I don't really get sick. And then all of a sudden, what seems like a couple of days later, apparently I've been rehearsing this week with sinusitis.
That's what you get?
Just a buildup of gunk in my chest and my throat and mild headache. Nothing ridiculous, nothing to worry about. I would not be here with you if I was contagious. But it does...
Brother, I've had it all at this point.
But they have... they told me not to go to rehearsal. That's why we're recording way earlier than we normally do.
Yeah.
And that's why I sound the way I do. They told me to get some rest, and I took that as, rest from rehearsal. But that means we can record earlier, so that's good.
It's always good.
But, yeah, it's been running rampant, man. I mean, we got 6 out now with flu and strep. And 2 or 3 of them combined flu and strep.
Lots of kids at school
at the
are
same
sick.
time. It's just that time of year.
Yeah. Stay
as
healthy
we get
out
near
there, everybody.
February, flu seems to always pick up, and Morristown always seems to feel like ground zero.
Yeah.
But I feel fine. It's just stuck here in my chest.
Well, you look great.
Well, thanks. Thank you. I did not expect a compliment like that from you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hey, I'm here to lift you up as much as I can.
So, we are back with our second round of discussion of The Witcher. We started on it Wednesday. We got through Nerd News, Nerdcabulary, and we decided, we could make this a 2.5-hour episode, or we could make this a 2-parter, follow-up Friday, the first 2-parter of the year, first follow-up Friday of the year.
Right.
Why not at least do it with The Witcher? Everybody's watching it, and I think that it has gotten... We were talking in the cast the other day. It was great that people were loving The Witcher, but one cast member goes, I love how everyone loves The Witcher now. I've been reading it and playing those games since day one, and now since Henry Cavill is playing The Witcher, everyone's binge-watching it. Like, I know who Geralt is. You don't have to talk to me about The Witcher.
A girl on Facebook that I'm friends with said, I sat through the entire Witcher just to see Henry Cavill naked.
They wanted him naked.
She did.
Because in the games, and obviously in the novels, they talk like Geralt walks around naked quite a bit.
Yeah, there's lots of
Adult.
saucy.
Yes. Yes. I started playing the game. 3.
Oh, yeah?
The one that's
Okay.
on Game Pass.
Wild Hunt.
Wild Hunt. And it started out like that. Very saucy.
Yes.
Very adult, very risque. And I was like, whoa, here we go. We're in it.
I told
All
you.
right.
I told
Let's rock and roll. When do I get to kill stuff? I mean, it's like I didn't come here for Shades of Grey, Geralt. I came here to kill demonic monsters.
Well, with one comes the other
Yes.
in this world.
Yes.
What do you think about it so far?
I like it.
Yeah.
It has a Red Dead feel to it.
Okay, I never felt that
The
way.
way the engine kind of feels, it feels more Red Dead than it does Oblivion or Skyrim.
Okay,
Um,
I guess I can see that.
and it also kind of has an Assassin's Creed feel to it, with the running and the parkour-esque moves you can do at times. I love the open worldness of it. I think that as I've gotten old, I have grown to. I used to hate those games.
Open world?
Yeah, I used to love, like, give me the story, give me an end, give me a beginning.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, give me more side quests. I want to do the side quests. I want to see more of the world.
Open world games are tough for me because I have a little touch of the OCD
And the ADD.
and that. And so it's like I never know where to go next. It's like
Yeah.
there's so many different places to go and it stresses me out.
I have still, to
so many
this
people
day,
to talk to.
Not completed the main story of Skyrim. Because every time I pick it up, I'm like, you're just playing the main story, Tyler. You're just playing ooh, what's over here? I can do this. Oh, I have not done that side quest yet. I still, at 30, it came out in 2012, have not completed the main story.
Well, this is going to be a shocking revelation, and I think you probably know this. I've never even come close to finishing.
You don't like them.
I really didn't. I don't know. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah. Which I
don't-
understand.
I don't like the combat style in the Elder Scrolls games.
First person.
First person melee.
And it does seem.
It's very stiff.
It
I feel
does.
like.
I would agree.
You know?
After playing Witcher now, I get what you've been saying.
I need more fluid combat.
Altair
Yeah.
type combat.
Yeah.
It does feel very slow hack and slash.
And it's like, one of the most popular games ever.
Yeah.
People talk about how it's just such a perfect game and all this, and that's great.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
I've after I downloaded it again, I put on all these mods that just made it easy
Oh,
and
dude.
fun. And the mods are like I'm without playing The Witcher or reading The Witcher, my character has Geralt's armor on from the second game, and I had never played it.
Years ago when I was working at GameStop, we were having a party at a friend's house, and they showed me on YouTube the opening scene of the game when you're about to get executed and the dragon shows up.
Yeah.
And someone modded it so that the dragons are like Macho Man Randy Savage, so you can
In
hear
the
off in the
distance,
distance.
you hear,
Yeah, I'm gonna get you, coming at you, yeah,
Macho Madness!
and I almost peed my pants. I was laughing so hard.
That was one of the first mods that Skyrim ever.
And like the dragon has the boots with the
Yeah,
little
and
strings
it's got the
hanging
strings,
off.
yeah.
He's got the hat and everything. Oh, it's perfect. It's amazing.
hilarious. But now after playing Witcher, I see what you meant by it was very slow hack and slash.
Elder Scrolls, that is.
Yes,
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls, that is. Maybe now with games like Assassin's Creed and Witcher blowing up since Skyrim has come out, this new Elder Scrolls game that we're apparently getting, hopefully it'll be more fluid. I hope. But I've enjoyed it. I have finished the first massive monster hunt that you have to do with the Griffin. It's pretty cool though.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
Man, I hardly remember anything
Hearing
about
hearing him in the show near the end there say that he's going to see Vesemir. He's going to see Vesemir.
it. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I know who Vesemir is now. Now I know who he's
Right,
talking
right.
about. And after seeing the video game character, I'm on
Hopeful.
board with the Mark
Mark
Hamill
Hamill.
casting.
Yeah.
I'm definitely on board with it. He would be fantastic as Vesemir. And it'd just be great to get Hamill back on.
Mark Hamill's just a
In
gem.
something. He really
He's
is.
Just we don't deserve Mark Hamill.
We don't. We really don't. Have you downloaded it yet?
No.
Probably not.
I haven't had a lot of gaming time.
Yeah.
I carved out some time for Fallen Order,
Uh-huh.
last few weeks, and after I finished that, I've just sort of been,
Waiting for the next big thing you'll carve out for.
yeah.
Yeah.
Time
I
is
get
very
that.
limited for
a dad,
like
teacher.
me, so,
A teacher dad.
Yeah.
Definitely very limited.
But hey, enough about us. Why don't we move on with The Witcher here?
So you were telling me that. What are your feelings so far?
Okay, so after having watched the whole show twice,
Yes.
unpopular opinion, I think, I liked the show. I enjoyed the show, but I wasn't like in love with it. I didn't finish it going, wow, that was so amazing, and I can't wait to see season 2, and oh, I'm just crazy about The Witcher, you know? I didn't have the same excitement after this that I had after things like The Umbrella Academy or The Boys or Mandalorian, which it's Star Wars, so that's totally different.
Understandable.
And I'm going to love that no matter what.
Yeah.
But I feel like there have been things that I've enjoyed a lot more.
Do you think it's the timeline back and forth?
I feel like I was telling you off air, I'm never someone who enjoys anthology stories that much, like each episode or each movie is its own separate story. And while The Witcher isn't necessarily that way, it somewhat is. Like, there's an episode where they're hunting a dragon, and then there's little bits of it that connect to the main story, like Yennefer and Geralt, see each other again, and there's things here and there. But it's non-linear.
Yes.
And you don't end an episode going, wow, I got to watch the next episode to see what happens.
When you're probably like, now I'm going to have to go back and watch that whole episode again just to see if I'm getting the point.
Because more often than not, I'm going, wait a minute, what? Who is this?
What year is it?
I think just something that was sort of off-putting to me is the fact that they so casually name these kingdoms or these kings and queens or whatever. And granted, I think that's just part of fantasy. Fantasy does that. You just have to pick it up as you go along, and I get that. And it's not that I'm not smart enough to understand The Witcher, because for the most part I do. I just feel like, I don't know if it's that it just didn't hold my attention, so I missed things, or what, but I know that a lot of people are confused about the timeline.
No, you're not in the minority with that.
And I just wonder, like, what was that the right move? I mean, I understand, like, it made it kind of more interesting in the fact that you're like, oh wow, the timelines are crazy, cool.
Yeah.
But was it worth that? To make everybody kind of confused and try to figure out what's going on.
In all honesty, I think they did that. Because how many watches have they gotten out of us? Total.
On The Witcher?
Yeah.
2 apiece.
2 apiece, and I've started on 3. Just to see if I can if I've missed any details.
And
I'm
you
like,
have,
okay, that's 5 watch throughs already. So I wonder if this first season, which we now know they have up to season 7 of material they want to use, and it's already been renewed for a second. Will they get through all 7? We don't know. That's up to Henry Cavill. That's up to the powers that be. We don't know. But they might come back and be like, we have this absolutely ridiculous watch amount that we've counted up. Look at this. To where someone, that might just be one person, like, I've had to watch it 5 times to understand what's going on. But their numbers are, man, look how many streams we've gotten.
Oh, man.
Look how many watch throughs one person has.
I saw a graph that showed sort of the competition between Mandalorian and Witcher.
Yeah.
And Mandalorian has been huge. I feel like maybe this was not a real
good one to...
Yeah, Malcolm, maybe it wasn't totally
fair.
Yeah.
It wasn't fair to go into Witcher after Mandalorian.
But it looked like the graph showed The Witcher like astronomically, exponentially more like
probably
popular
because
than Mandalorian.
People are having to watch through it multiple times.
Well, I'll tell you, I will
to understand.
I will not watch it again until season 2 comes out.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to stop after this. Like, I watched 1, I watched 2 for note taking. Like,
that was
a second time for note taking. And I've picked episodes to watch through a third time.
Mm-hmm.
And after we air this, I'm probably like, you know what? I need to give it a break until season 2 comes out.
I mean,
and play the game. I want to get into more Witcher lore too before we dig even deeper into this world, this continent, basically.
Well, and they've also said that season 2 will be a lot more linear.
Yes.
So for me, I think that'll help.
And I think that they did this for that very reason. Like, okay, we need to explain a lot of backstory. How do we do it without basically doing a whole season of this character's backstory? Like, first 3 episodes are Geralt's backstory. And then we don't see Geralt until season 2. This is Yennefer. This is, instead, like this whole bounce back and forth timeline process. Maybe that was just the best way they thought to show the connection, yet also show the individual characters.
Well, and like I said, it did make it interesting and different and all that. And, hey, props to him for that. Cool. I just feel like every time we talk about really complicated timelines or complicated fan theories, whether it be in, comic book movies, superheroes, or fantasy or anything, the thing that I always say is for a general
The average
audience member here,
Yeah.
someone who isn't as big of a nerd as we are, is this gonna fly with them? Are they
Yeah.
gonna understand what's going on? And I don't know. I mean, I haven't talked to a lot of people outside of our circles about what they think about The
Yeah.
Witcher. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go out and ask people. But I don't know. I feel like it was too much,
Okay, I get that.
and I'm sounding really, really critical. And that's my only critique, really. Like
Yeah.
the show itself, I thought was great. Like visually, all the fighting, I loved. So exciting. I thought
Good
the
fights.
battles were amazing.
Good
The
fights. Cool
performances,
monsters.
excellent.
The performances
top-notch.
were great.
Everything
Especially
was
now
great.
playing the game, meeting Yennefer and Geralt, and Dandelion, who is in the show Jaskier. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect casting. Fantastic casting. And then you find out that he played these games. Did you see the interview on the Witcher tour?
No.
There's this interview with one of the many media outlets out there that were interviewing Henry Cavill during this Witcher publicity tour. And he gave them the choice of, he said, if you had to pick one, which one would you listen to? Which one would you watch over and over? Harry Potter or Game of Thrones? And Henry
said
Cavill
Lord
just
of the
goes,
Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
I did see that.
I was like, I like that.
I did see that.
That alone, wow. He's
just
a
thought-
different kind of fantasy.
I just thought that was a meme. I didn't know
No,
that
it
that was
actually
a real
came
thing.
straight from the interview.
Interesting.
And he played these games. He plays Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
He's a muscular nerd, which is very rare to find these days in the wilderness.
Well, I mean, with the exception of you and I,
Of course.
there's not a lot.
There's really not a lot. They are, they're like the grand nerd supremes out there,
Yeah.
and they're an enigma, really. But he bought into the character. You see so many nerd performances that are good.
Mm-hmm.
Like RDJ bought into Tony Stark. Hugh Jackman bought in to Wolverine. Henry Cavill has bought in to Geralt.
Yeah, and I think it's always a good thing when you have fans of the source material
Yes.
who are making the movie
Yes.
or the show or whatever. And
Which is why MCU's been so big, is because Kevin Feige is a nerd.
Yes.
He's a fan of that source material.
John Favreau and The Mandalorian.
Yes,
Same
he is
thing.
a fan of that source material. So it's good, we're just really jumping on this Witcher bandwagon. Not really a bandwagon, but like the lore of it.
Yeah.
Like we didn't read the books, we didn't really pay attention to the comics. We knew what it was, and we didn't really play heavily the video games like we did maybe Rogue One, Jedi Fallen Order,
Okay, yeah.
or Battlefront,
Yeah,
or the Ultimate Alliance games.
Sure.
We did not play those as heavily as we had those others.
yeah.
But it seems that he has bought in, is what I'm saying. And,
Paid off.
and it's good, and it's paid off. So I thought that, we'd do a little general talk before we get into this synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
But, any other things before we jump into this breakdown? Or
No, I think that's it. I've stated my case
Yes.
for my
For your
critique of
qualms.
it. Yeah, I guess you could say it's a qualm. I don't know. I think it's just me being picky. And maybe you could say I'm a little bit lazy about it. I just kind of wanted it all to be there for me. And I'm just so used to watching things like anything with Star Wars. I already know all that stuff. I know all the lore. I know
this is new.
most of the history. I know Lord of the Rings like the back of my hand. Harry Potter,
This is
all
very
these
new
fandoms.
for us.
This is new for me. So it's
It may
taken me
take some time to...
Exactly.
Maybe we should get the books,
Yeah.
some of the comics,
Mm-hmm.
go back and play 1, 2, and 3 of the video games, just to kind of get a glimpse of what a lot of these Witcher fans have dealt with.
Well, in 2021, when season 2 is
Hopefully
nearing,
by then we have done that.
then we'll be experts.
We'll be experts. So why don't we get through this rest of this synopsis?
Let's do it.
We're going to continue on with Chapter 4 and go all the way through the finale for this follow-up Friday. JD, Dr. Davis, would you like to start with Chapter 4?
I think you should start this one.
All right, great. Because it's alliteration. The title is alliteration, I
I
love
just like
it.
to hear it.
Of banquets, bastards, and burials. Chapter 4. Source story based on A Question of Price from The Last Wish, and Sword of Destiny from Sword of Destiny. Having served Aedrin for 3 decades, Yennefer escorts Queen Callis of Lyria when they are ambushed by an assassin. The assassin follows them through multiple portals, killing Callis. Although Yennefer escapes with Callis' newborn daughter, the baby dies from a thrown dagger. Geralt accompanies Jaskier, Josh's favorite character, who, don't mean to get on a tangent, but he wasn't in the season finale, not once. Did you notice that?
Didn't even notice.
He's not. That character's not in the season finale.
There was just so much going on, I was distracted by that.
He is not. Geralt accompanies Jaskier to the betrothal feast of Princess Paeta, Queen Calanthes.
Isn't it Pavetta?
Pavetta, sorry. What did I say? Paeta.
Calanthe?
Calanthes' daughter. Urcheon of Ellenrald, also named Duny, interrupts to demand Pavetta's hand through the law of surprise, having saved her father years early. Urcheon suffers from a curse that transformed him into a hedgehog man creature. Despite Pavetta's acceptance, Calanthe refuses and a brawl ensues. When Calanthe tries to kill Urcheon, Pavetta activates her power, unleashing a maelstrom until Geralt and Mousak, Josh's favorite
name,
and Mousak intervene. Wanting her daughter happy, Calanthe marries Duny and Pavetta, which lifts Duny's curse. Duny, thankful for Geralt's aid, insists he take a reward, so Geralt jokingly invokes the Law of Surprise for something Duny has but doesn't know yet known. Yes, but Duny has but doesn't yet know he has.
Easy for you to say.
Easy for me to say. The crowd then immediately learns Pavetta is pregnant with Duny's child. In the present, Nilfgaard... Oh, yes, now we're back in the present.
Yep.
Which is your qualm. In the present, Nilfgaard's forces resume their pursuit of Cirilla, with Mousak as their prisoner. Meanwhile, Cirilla and Dara encounter Queen Ethne.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Queen Ethne.
The jungle lady.
And her dryads in
Brokilon
Forest with Cahir and Fringilla track series location.
Good grief.
So, I'm telling you, these names are they're almost biblical.
Ridiculous.
Like, like when you're reading that Old Testament of the Bible and like, so-and-so, betrothed and so-and-so, father of so-and-so, begotten of so-and-so, dog walker of so-and-so.
Crazy.
It's very high fantasy. So, so a lot in there.
I did like this episode overall. I liked the whole banquet scene.
Yes.
I feel like maybe... Okay, here's another hot take. People complain about Mandalorian being too short. I would argue that it was just right, and these episodes in The Witcher are too long.
I would agree with you in the aspect of when I was finishing up some notes before coming over.
Yeah.
I kind of found myself sitting there like, all right, I got to get to work, like I've got to get going. I've got to, can we end the episode now?
Yeah.
There's a lot of those false endings where it'll black out and then we're to another, and you're just like, oh, I thought that was
I found myself thinking like, okay, this is definitely going to be the end of the episode, and then not so much.
Yeah.
And, Game of Thrones, their episodes were about this long, sometimes longer, but I think what makes it different is that there were so many different stories going on. Like, we had Jon's story, we had Arya, we had Sansa, whoever, so many of the different characters who we had already, grown to love and were familiar with. And there was, while it was a long episode, the individual stories were just long enough to keep your interest. This, we're hearing 3 different stories, but all of them still are stretched out really long in these episodes. So I found myself going, okay, let's
get to it. Let's get to it. Pitter patter. So the assassin and his creature was very much
like a big cockroach.
It's funny, before I downloaded this and before I got into Jedi Fallen Order, I was playing back through Skyrim. There is a creature in Skyrim that's very familiar to this creature that the assassin had.
Similar to it?
Very similar to it. And I had the exact same feeling when I first, back in 2012, when I started playing Skyrim and I first encountered this creature in a cave. I paused the game and freaked out. Because, just by the look of it. The sheer look of it, the size of it, and the game. And then when this assassin showed up with this creature that looked like, I went, oh gosh, like vocally out loud. And my dad's like, what? And I was like, nothing.
Yeah, it gave me the
Nothing. I was like, ooh, it's trilling. Like, and when I turned the subtitles on this time, since you said I turned subtitles on, it says trilling whenever the creature would go trilling. And I was like, I hate that word now. Now I hate that word.
Do you hate it as much as moist?
Nope.
When the people got cut by the big cockroach, maybe they needed a moist Band-Aid.
Oh, God. Ew. I wanted to leave that in 2019.
It'll never, ever go
Oh,
away.
God.
So, okay, this assassin, was he sent by the king of this place?
He was sent by the baby's father.
Because the wife wasn't giving him sons.
Because after
right?
3 times, she had yet to give him a son.
Mm-hmm.
And even Yennefer says, he's been hired by your king because you failed 3 times to give him a son.
Mm-hmm.
And at first she's like, no, he wouldn't do that.
So, I have a question. They spend all this time and energy going through portals and trying to get away from the assassin. And there was a lot of vomiting, which, I love that. Not so much, really.
Yeah.
But in the end, Yennefer makes the cockroach cut its head off.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of fights the assassin. Why didn't she just do that to begin with?
Yeah, I didn't understand all the running when she could have just killed the bug.
And then, like in the last episode, in the big battle, we see Yennefer do all these crazy things.
Yeah.
Why didn't she just
stand
and fight?
I almost got the feeling that she really didn't care. Like, I'll run as long as I can. I'll try to protect it. But then when she realized after the 3rd portal, this guy can follow me. Almost like, I don't think I can outrun him.
That's more of a reason to kill him, right? There.
Yeah.
I
think she kind of looked at her. She hated the life that had been handed to her.
Yeah.
Because she was like, this is boring, this is terrible, this is... Even in the stagecoach that they're in, she said, this is what this is what I went through hell for. This is what I went through the transformation for, all that bullying by Tissaia. This is what I went through all that for.
Like 30 years.
Yeah, for 30 years I've been trying to become the greatest sorceress of all time, and here I am, babysitting a princess who can't bear a son.
Yeah.
And I think she finally was just like, I'm leaving him. And they did something here that I never thought I'd see.
Bro.
Flashing back to Walking Dead, we know that we have talked about in the past when we've mentioned this scene in Walking Dead where in the comics the governor shoots Lori in the back and kills the baby with Lori. The bullet goes through Lori and kills Judith too. Mm-hmm. We thought Judith will survive up to a certain age because you can't kill a child like that on network television.
Not a baby.
Not a baby. And it immediately reminded me that this is not network television. Yeah. I was like, they killed this baby with a dagger.
Man.
This baby, not a toddler, this newborn baby.
I had a hard time with that, to be honest. And, there's that, people joke about the people who say, oh, until you're a parent. People who are parents who are listening know that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Like, you understand, okay, I know you're a parent and you feel differently about things, but things really do affect you in a very different way when you're a parent. Like, seeing things like that, bro, I was sick to my stomach during that. The baby crying so much, like that poor little baby was going through so much. It made my daddy heart hurt. And then in the end to see,
and it also kind of felt like Dobby, like that through the portal dagger feel of Dobby's death. And like Dad started whenever he'd come in, he's in town this week, working some here, and he started catching on to some of the episodes I've been watching. And I'll kind of look in my peripheral, and he's standing in the room watching it with me, outside of my vision. And when that part came on, he goes, "Oh my God, what are you watching?" Yeah. And I said, "It's called The Witcher. It's based off a novel series and video games." And he was like, "I thought this was like Lord of the Rings or something." I said, "No, Far from it. And they can
Yeah.
do more than a network can. He's like, they killed that baby.
Yeah, I was sick at my stomach for real with that, and I kept waiting for Yennefer to do some sort of magic to bring the baby back. I was just so sure
Yeah.
that couldn't be what was going to happen, and then she buries it right there on that beach, and I was like, man, they really
Now,
did
if
that.
this were a different world, if this were, I'm gonna say, if this were Supernatural, do you know what the story with that baby would be?
Season 37 of Supernatural.
And later in a season, a character would pop up and be like, "You buried me on that beach, thinking I was dead. I wasn't. Somebody found me and raised me to be a hunter."
We can only hope.
Yeah, I don't think that baby's coming
No, you're
back in a
probably
future
right.
season, man.
So sad.
So, you also get to see in this episode that Geralt and Mousesack have known each other for a while.
Geralt's pretty well
Old
known.
friends. Even to hear Geralt say "old friend" to somebody is wild, because Geralt doesn't have friendships that he takes lightly.
Very few.
Very
I
few.
I would say.
He even goes, "I never thought I'd be back here, old friend." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Well, even Jaskier, he gets on his nerves, and I saw a meme the other day. It was it showed Shrek and Donkey, and then below it a picture of Geralt and Jaskier. It's like,
Yeah.
you know what? A little bit.
A little
I can
bit of
see it.
similarity
But at
there.
the same time, he really does love Jaskier. I think he would do anything for him, and he does go out of his way and goes through a lot of trouble to protect him and all that stuff. So I think that
Especially
Jaskier is-
in this episode.
yeah, he's a very dear friend,
Yeah.
even though sometimes he can be a bit much.
Yeah, and we see in this flashback where they're at the Pavetta's wedding acceptance of the queen, where
Yeah.
the queen gets to say who has the best proposal. We find a moment there that I did not catch the first time. One person that she really talks down to,
The guy from Nilfgaard?
the guy from Nilfgaard, the
Yeah.
young prince of Nilfgaard.
I have a note here.
and I was like, is that why he's pissed?
exactly? Is that
Like-
why they?
Like,
come
did he
invade him,
just
or
did
what?
he show back up? Did he show back up to his house and go, I'm gonna work at this?
She was pretty harsh.
She's mean. Like,
She
we see a
is.
different side of the queen in this episode than we had.
She's stubborn and she's hard headed, and I don't know how much I like her, to be honest with you.
Well, I did like some of her comments, like, I'm a woman in charge. If this were,
Which is a cool take.
which
by
is
the
a
way.
really cool. Like, I did love her comments about, since it's a law of man, do I have to follow it?
Yeah.
Since I am not a man.
Right.
I did love that, but I was kind of like, okay, it's driving her arrogance.
I can't think of any other time where the queen has been the real power in any type of situation.
It's
like
really
this.
cool.
She's the one out there doing the fighting, right there in the.
She's not
battlefield
sitting
with
in a
them.
chair sipping wine
Yeah.
like
Cersei.
Cersei did. She is sword to sword killing people
Yeah.
and like the best fighter of the kingdom.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. It's a good take. However, I did not like her mentality during that whole
And what
scene.
what bothers me as well is the fact that she was resisting the thing with her daughter and Dooney.
Yeah.
Even though everybody has apparently heard of this surprise, what's it called, law of surprise
The law
thing,
of surprise.
like destiny demands this or whatever, and
Yeah.
Mousesack is saying you're gonna unleash the wrath of destiny upon us if you don't
Yeah.
go along with this.
Almost as if destiny is the same entity of, the Force.
Sure.
In some Star Wars lore, some people think the Force as a judge and jury, almost, in its decision on it sometimes weighs towards the bad, it sometimes weighs on the good, based off the balance.
But she sees all these crazy things happen, and she finally agrees to allow them to marry and everything. And then all these years later, when Destiny's come calling again for Geralt to take Ciri with him,
yeah.
she's still saying no. Like, do
Yeah.
you not realize? Like, you've seen
Like,
this
you
firsthand.
literally,
What's wrong with you?
before Pavetta's daughter was born, you saw destiny take hold. And now you're doing it again. But I also, Hedgehog Man was wild. Dooney.
Another example of people not aging, by the way.
Yes.
He rescued the queen's husband at some
First
point.
husband. The queen's first husband.
I keep forgetting the princess's name.
Pavetta.
Pavetta's father. He rescued him or something and asked for the law of surprise, and then the king goes home and realizes he's having a baby, which is Pavetta. So
Yeah.
what the heck? Again, no aging. I don't understand.
I just think that it's the world they live in. Maybe.
I guess.
I'm guessing that.
It's just crazy to me.
We had a text today in our group with the ranting one himself. He heard our first part of this episode and he, said, "Oh, you have an issue with this and this and this," but then he brought up a 2019 argument that we had. And I know it's just a few days after the new year, but I'm still using that. That's such a 2019 argument. Like, he said, because he still aired his grievances about the Hulk in Endgame.
Ridiculous.
And I was like, okay, number one, that's so 2019. And number two, this is a different world.
And
Like,
the Hulk was fine.
I think the Hulk was fine. I don't have any issues. The Hulk failed in his first fight.
Logan just likes to
That's
complain.
what it comes down to is the Hulk failed his first fight. Why give him a second one? So, but again, I digress. So I did like this episode. I did like things did start taking a wild turn for me. I think it was 4 where I really started to realize, oh, they're bouncing back and forth.
As soon as I saw Mouse Sack, that's when I knew there's a wonky timeline thing happening. And then, of course, the Queen walks in, who we know jumped out the window in episode 1.
Very Game of Thrones suicide.
That's when it was very clear to me that things have not been as they seem,
Yes.
or as we thought them to be.
Yes.
Shall we move on to episode 5?
Yes, you go ahead and take this.
This is Bottled Appetites, and the source story is The Last Wish. Seems like a lot of these stories are from The Last Wish. Several years after Pavetta's betrothal, Geralt and Jaskier discover a djinn and accidentally release it. Initially, it seems that Jaskier is the djinn's master, but then he falls seriously ill. Geralt seeks help from the nearest healer, the elf Sheraden. Sheraden. But as they need a mage to heal Jaskier, Sheraden reluctantly refers them to Yennefer. Although Yennefer cures Jaskier, her plan is to use him to capture the djinn to grant her wish of regaining her fertility, which was taken away, of course, when she became beautiful.
Yes.
As Jaskier uses his last wish, nothing happens, and it's revealed that it is Geralt, not Jaskier, who actually has the wishes. Geralt realizes the djinn will kill Yennefer, so he uses his third and final wish to save her, but the wish itself is not yet revealed. The djinn leaves. Now free and safe, Geralt and Yennefer act on their attraction and have relations with one another, we'll say.
Yes.
Quite graphically. What a thing. Yennefer asks what his third wish was, but Geralt does not answer, as he has finally fallen asleep, which the whole reason he was looking for the djinn was because he can't sleep. Jaskier suggests that maybe it's the whole destiny and Ciri and all that thing that's causing him not to sleep, and he's saying, no, it's not that. But now he can finally sleep. Cahir hires a Doppler to assume the identity of Mousesack by copying his form and memories, then kills him. Later, Ithne, the queen in the forest,
They're elves.
Are they?
Yeah, they're elves. They're a type of Eldar elves.
Okay.
We talked about, there was the short elves. These are a different type of elf.
I missed all of that stuff somehow.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ithne, or however I'm saying her name here, allows Ciri to stay in Brokilon, but Mousesack, in quotations, because he's not the real Mousesack,
Yes.
arrives requesting Ciri and Dara leave with him. Wow.
Yeah. And that's what also gets me about this show is in our breakdowns, like going back through and looking at our breakdown for the first part of this on Wednesday before we started this one, a lot happens in these episodes where you could almost do, I mean, in all honesty, we could almost do a Witcher Wednesday where we break, like, there's a lot that goes into every episode.
No.
But we want to get through this because there is so much more coming this year and, stuff like that. So This was in my notes. I had, does the bard not age either?
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, when he finds Geralt fishing for the gin, he's
Yes.
like, "Oh, what's it been? Months? Years?
Yeah. It's
time
been
has
like
passed."
a decade since they've last seen each other.
I guess.
Is what he's like. He's like, what's it been? Months, years? Like, I haven't seen you in a decade, and you're not going to tell me how you like my songs. And he's just ignoring him fishing for this bottle. Did you know that Disney is the only place that people have seen a good genie? That most mythos follow this line of like jinn are actually terrible things to be a part of.
I don't know a lot about him, to be honest.
Well, like, it's funny that they call it jinn and this with a D, because in that show that I love, and you give me heck
a
about
show that has 15,
55
seasons.
they say jinn as well, but with a J instead of a D in front of it.
Yeah, it's silent.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar reaction. But those jinn grant you your wishes as they're sucking your soul out. So what's like in Supernatural, what's like a lifetime to you is like 5 minutes in the real world. So they're giving you this dream world, this what you wanted your life to be, as they're draining you of your blood.
Rather than it's a reward for
Yes.
setting it free.
Yes.
It's okay.
It's,
so
we
not
feed on
nice.
human blood, but while they're unconscious, we'll give them this dream world they've been dying to have. No pun intended. I liked the aspect of not seeing the jinn. Like, it's just this force. You see the
don't know
shadow
that.
of it.
I don't know that I did like that.
Really?
Yeah. It was strange to me.
You just see, like, the shadow kind of...
I was a little confused, like, in the end, in the climax of the episode when she... Yeah. Little innuendo there. Before that climax, the other climax... I can't believe I went there. When she's like, "No, I want everything. I want everything." You can tell, like, you know, right when Geralt thinks that
Her eyes are red.
kill her, and like it's crazy. You know, there's nothing there. You just can tell something crazy is happening, but you don't see anything.
Yeah.
I don't think I liked that very much.
Really? I like the mystery of it. Like, maybe it's so powerful you don't have to see it. Because, I mean, what are wishes? Wishes are this invisible want.
What happened to old Jaskier here? Why is he hurt by the djinn? Because he's asking it for things and he's not the master?
Yes.
Okay.
The djinn's like, shut up.
Yeah.
You know, like, he's just like, I want this, and he starts choking him out,
You know,
basically.
if it wasn't for Jaskier, Geralt and Yennefer would never have met.
That's true.
So
And I did love this dream sequence of when they come to this
I bet you
mayor's
did.
office.
I bet you
I
did.
loved this essence of, like, she just shows up, and the mayor and the people think that they can treat her like a slave.
Oh, I thought you were talking about when they arrive and
Oh, no.
there's all the people.
Yes, the naked people.
No,
I love how she's literally just sitting there, like, it starts out with they sit her in her room, and she's just kind of like, I'd kind of like some apple juice.
Oh,
That's another thing that kind of kills me, is there are some modern things, whether it be
you don't
terminology.
think they made juice out of apples in medieval
I'm
times?
sure they did, but I just didn't think of hearing the term apple juice. I think of 1998.
Liquid of the apple.
Yes, liquid of the apple.
Apple water.
Apple water. Juice de pomme. I love how she just started like that, and it's like, oh, sure, we'll get you some apple juice.
My favorite part of this episode is when Jaskier wakes up and he's recovered and Yennefer's there and he has no idea what's going on and he realizes right away she's bad news and he's kind of scared.
No,
of her.
no.
He's like, I have to go.
I have to go.
I left my cat on the stove.
He's funny. He's growing on me. At this point, I wrote down, at this point, he's growing on me.
Bro,
the
he's
bard
hilarious.
is starting to grow on me, is what my note says.
He's so much fun. And he's partially why Geralt's so famous in this world.
Yeah, like, if you go back and watch it a second or third time, you realize that one of their encounters, he's singing, and he goes, that's not how it happened. You then
what
you then
really
learn
happened probably doesn't make as good of a song.
You then learn why is he saying that? He's saying that because they went through that together 5 or 10 years before, and he's just now writing the song about it. And Geralt's like, whoa, that didn't happen.
Oh, there was another reference to that when they were at the betrothal banquet or whatever.
Yeah.
When he was
singing his song.
The guys were arguing about that
Yeah.
they had killed some monster, and the queen's like, "Oh, we have a renowned guest.
Witcher here.
And why don't you tell us?" And he starts to say something. They're like, "Oh, but what about the song?" And Yaskar's like, "Yeah, Geralt, the song. Come on, man, we
Kinda
gotta
like,
save face here."
Hey, I said something else.
Back
in
me
my
up here,
tunes. And I also loved the metaphor of that's almost like to sell the image. You'd be shocked at what even in real world 2020 to sell the image of what people will say
Right.
in their songs, if you will. And I also like the Doppler. I liked that take on the chameleon, taking the identity of. I like that it's taking from the term doppelganger
Yeah.
that we have known to love from like How I Met Your Mother,
Yeah.
So, and again, I said in the first part, not the radar, not Doppler radar. This is an actual creature that can take the likeness of people.
Yeah, he was cool. I did like that.
I liked the pretty boy aspect at first when we meet him because he's taken this one flesh suit, basically. It's like an attractive model looking, and he looks at Cahir and he's just like, I'd rather like this suit. We, and he always says we.
Oh, and us, yeah.
Us.
Yeah.
He's not a I or a me. He talks about we. Kind of like, and it's not just me as the Doppler, but I am these people as well. We, us. It's very weird.
So.
It's very weird. It's kind of like meeting someone who talks about themselves in third person. Tyler is very happy to be doing this show with Josh. Tyler just thinks that, imagine if I spoke in third person.
Josh thinks we should go on to episode 6.
It was a good episode. It was. What has been your... Okay, we've now talked 1 through 5. What's your favorite so far?
So far,
1 through 5.
I really liked the first one. I really liked the one with the banquet, which was the one before we just read. So that was episode 4.
Yeah.
So I liked 1 and 4 the most.
Okay. All right. So moving on, Chapter 6, Rare Species. Its source story is based on the Bounds of Reason from the book Sword of Destiny. Geralt, Jaskier, and Yennefer are invited to join a dragon hunt by adventurer Borch and his 2 bodyguards, Taya and Vea. Yennefer's knights joins the party along with a band of dwarves and reavers, professional monster hunters. After camping overnight, the party finds the knight dead and the reavers have departed. The dwarves take their party to a mountain shortcut, but the bridge gives way. Borch's group sacrifices themselves rather than endanger the entire party. Geralt and Yennefer reconcile, if that's what you want to call it, before reaching the dragon's den.
Indeed they did.
But find it dead, with Taya and Vea alive guarding the dragon's egg. Borch reveals himself as Villain
Tretenmirth.
Yes,
I
Vien
suppose.
Tretenmirth, a golden dragon who The Witcher said was a myth.
Yeah, he talked about all the different... There's green dragons, there's red
dragons,
dragons, and there's black dragons.
dragons.
Black dragons are the rarest, and Mr.
Borch says,
here
no, what about gold dragons? They're the rarest.
And apparently he says, no, they don't exist unless it's been a special mutation, which Geralt knows a lot about
Mutations, yes. Borch reveals himself as this dragon, as I was saying. The 5 of them then defend the egg from the Reavers. Borch later pays off the dwarves with dragon teeth, and Geralt reveals to Yennefer his 3rd wish was to bound their fates together. Dara sorry. No, now we're back into... sorry.
I don't think elves growl too much.
They don't growl. Now we are back with Dara and Ciri and Mousak. Dara grows suspicious over quote unquote mouse sack.
Yeah.
So Siri questions him, and the Doppler reveals himself. In the scuffle, Dara is knocked out as Siri escapes, but is captured by Cahir. Siri, quote unquote, then reveals itself as the Doppler and fights Cahir before escaping. So,
Yeah.
go ahead and say that like this Doppler is still alive and out there, and we didn't see him after this episode.
Yeah, and this whole ending, this part right that
Yes.
you just read makes no sense to me, but we'll talk about that. in a
So Dara then frees the real Siri, but leaves her alone. Cahir and Fringilla plan their next move. So a lot of back and forth, not just back and forth in like timelines, but let's go to the part that confuses you first. Let's talk about the Doppler.
Yeah, what the heck? Okay, so Dara and Siri are fighting the Doppel guy because he gets irritated and he finally just tells him who he is.
Yes.
He's not really mouse
He likes
sack.
it better that way.
They fight him. They put the silver, well, I guess it was a silver dagger,
Yeah.
on him, and so silver
Hurts
harms
the Doppler.
monsters, and they have their little scuffle, and he knocks Dara, and Siri runs away.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing we know, Siri's sitting in a chair because she was captured by
Cahir.
and then turns back into the Doppler.
So
Doppel guy.
in my
What?
notes, I have. So did the Doppler all of a sudden become a good guy?
Well, he got up and said something about like you didn't tell us
what
who
she
she
was.
was and what she
And
did
I
or
bet
something.
it's almost like I'm not killing her. She's one of us. She's special. She's kind of like I don't want to call her a monster, but there's some magic behind her.
Sure.
So I wonder if it's like you're not.
I mean,
I'm
maybe.
not turning over.
I didn't even think about that.
You
I
know,
just don't.
she's one of us.
understand-
She's special.
I don't understand how the Siri that was in the chair that Cahir captured was the Doppler. What? How did that happen? And then the real Siri was tied up to a tree. We didn't see how she
after
ended
we
up there.
see this, they fight him and he knocks off Dara. Siri runs.
Mm-hmm.
So then we are given this understanding. You know, we come from theater. Not everything can be laid out in theater. We have to let the audience suspend the disbelief, correct? So we are to ascertain that... Are you not proud of that word?
Yeah.
We are to ascertain that there's a scene, maybe on the cutting room floor, where the Doppler chases Siri and ties her to a tree.
If that's true,
But to get answers,
why leave that out?
I don't know.
That bugs me a lot. That's a lot different than, obviously you don't need to see every little aspect. Like people complain in Game of Thrones about how we don't see them traveling and
Quick
stuff.
traveling.
We don't need to see them travel.
Well, we
If
saw
there's-
them travel. We're not doing this.
Okay, fine.
We didn't
but
see
this
them
is an
travel.
example.
We saw them travel
We
for
don't
5
have to
seasons.
see every step that they take and every single place that they go. But if somebody's captured and tied up to a tree, and the last time we saw them,
Maybe
they
it
were running
was
away.
meant to be just a fake out for the audience. That's why they didn't put the scene in there.
Okay,
was
but who
for
tied her to the tree?
the Doppler. Caught up with her, tied her to a tree, turned into her to get some answers from Cahir.
Okay, now that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. I did not.
That's
get
what
that from
actually
that.
happened.
Okay.
Because when he turned into her, he immediately realized, because he gets her memories as well. So he gets the memories of what she did to the glasses, what she did to this person, what she did to that, the screaming to Cahir to knock him down in the first episode. He gets the memories of all that. So he's then probably like, oh my God, she's special.
I see.
I can't give her over to him. She's one of us. She's a, freak.
Okay.
As Geralt puts it at one point, a freak.
Okay.
So that's what happened.
Well, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
Now a
I
scene of that would
would
have been cooler.
Yeah.
Would have been cool to see that, like, him turning into her.
I agree.
Or maybe her, like, outsmarting him and be like, change into me, and you'll see why he cannot get me. Change into me.
So
It'd be cool.
Let's
So-
go back to the deal with the dragons.
Okay, so the dragons. I really liked the mythos that they put on dragons here. It's different yet similar to all the other mythos we have had.
Yeah,
in
you
different
can't have
dragon
fantasy
things.
without dragons.
True. Very true.
I don't really like the fact that there's no explanation that dragons can somehow turn into people.
I think that's what's the gold dragon is more magical.
So, or is it the fact that he was a person to begin with, and then he was mutated into a golden dragon? Is that what happened?
But if you remember the future episode, we get to meet him again
Did we?
when Geralt's a child.
I totally missed that.
Yes.
Twice.
Yes, now twice. That's why
What?
you watch it 3 times.
No way. Really? What
I've
happened?
got it in my notes.
Okay,
Don't worry.
then we'll get to
I've
that
got it in
in a
my
minute.
notes.
But I did like that character, that guy.
He was
the old
Boris
guy
was cool. Boris
and,
was cool.
that,
His guardians, Taya and Vea, they were cool too. I loved how Jaskir's hitting on him the entire time and cannot pick up on the fact that they are just not into
they're
him.
not having it.
They legitimately, even in front of him, say that Boris is the most beautiful man of all. And he still hits on him.
Well, he has. He's got a pretty high success rate. With
He
the
does.
Ladies, which we didn't talk about it, but back in the betrothal banquet,
Yes.
when that guy was confronting Jaskier because he thought that he had, taken his lady,
Yeah.
and Garrett was like, "Oh no!" Basically, told him he was a eunuch,
Kind of like Jack Sparrow does.
and he was like, "Oh, you're ruining my courtly reputation here."
Yeah.
So he's a little bit of a ladies' man.
And he was just kind of like, you brought me to protect you. I'm protecting you.
True.
He's like, yeah, by saying I don't have something.
That dude even gave him some money for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's some pity
I liked
coins.
the I like the dwarves in
Oh.
this because
That dwarf got on my nerves
really,
because he would start talking and then he would randomly scream like this. Every single time that he spoke, he did that.
I think he's just passionate.
He got on my nerves. I didn't like them.
He gets on your nerves, but Jaskier doesn't.
No, Jaskier's funny.
You know what?
I never liked the tough guy characters. Let's just be real.
That's true.
I never liked the tough guys.
That's true.
Yeah. So maybe that's why.
Probably.
But-
I did love the joke about the knight. Like, we meet this knight who's with Yennefer, who is apparently, she has bound herself to him to help him kill this dragon, and she will be the lady to his lord whenever the person who's offered up the bounty gives him everything.
For
And
kingdom and
everything
glory.
is from kingdom. And you know who he reminded me of? Lancelot.
He did remind me a little bit
Oh,
of Lancelot as well.
Which I hate. He's my least favorite Arthurian knight. There might be reasons behind that, but we'll move on. I loved how they had the fireside meeting of all of them,
And he had to poop.
and he had to go to the bathroom. And I have in my notes said, even in a fantastic gory fantasy, there is always room for fart jokes.
You gotta have poop jokes.
Absolutely, there is always room for it. And I'm sure we will hear about this show when we're listening to Fat Man Beyond. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that Kevin Smith will say the same thing. There's always room for fart jokes.
Oh, he probably will.
Because that's his
What
career.
was it that he ate that caused him to...
The creature he
poop?
killed.
Oh, okay.
They even said, I wouldn't do
That was a
that.
bad idea.
And this poor creature was just hungry, and the Witcher wanted... Because that's what Witchers are also raised to know when to kill, and when the creature is in the right.
Yeah.
That's what they're raised on.
Just like how he didn't want to kill the dragon.
Yeah, he was like, I'm raised to also know when's the time to kill,
Yeah.
and when's the time to save. This creature was just hungry. If we
that was-
fed it, it went away.
Which was why the dragon, Mr. Borch,
Liked him.
he sought him out to go on
He
this
did
journey
seek
with
him
him
out,
to
and we
protect
will
that
get
egg.
to that later. You've forgotten. It kills me that you've forgotten, and that's in the season finale.
Oh, man. I'm sorry.
We were just watching it before. We didn't get to that part, though.
That's probably why I missed
Yeah.
it again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's about it for this
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, I did like the dragons. I knew it was a matter of time.
That brings us to episode 7, Before a Fall, and the source story is from Something More from Sword of Destiny. With Nilfgaard poised to invade Cintra, Geralt decides to invoke his Law of Surprise. Calanthe offers up an impostor for Ciri, but Geralt is not fooled and is imprisoned by King Tursik. Another complicated name. After visiting Istrid, Yennefer returns to Aretuza with the sorcerer Vilgefortz. When he announces his intention to rally mages to oppose Nilfgaard, she declines. The Brotherhood votes to remain neutral, but Tissaia, Vilgefortz, and other mages resolve to fight. Tissaia convinces Yennefer to join. Nilfgaard invades, sacking the city and breaching the castle. Calanthe wants to send Ciri away with Geralt, but he has escaped his cell and is nowhere to be found. Ciri fends for herself after escaping Cintra. Later, she is discovered by her old friends who suddenly turn on her and her powers activate. So this episode is where the first episode was.
Yeah, like, legitimately I have in my notes quite a few times basically a version of saying, wait. For instance, once, wait. Geralt was there in Cintra at episode 1?
Right.
Wait. Like, wait. So, and again, we get the meeting of the mages, and we get to see the fantastic Stregobor. Who, yeah, I kind of got this feeling that he's got this mentality that, he's telling them to not fight.
Oh yeah, he says, Cintra has always wanted to fend for themselves. They didn't want any help from the mages, so why don't we just let them?
Even though the other mages are saying it won't stop there, it will continue to us.
Yeah.
It's not just, like if I were to equate it to today, it'd be like saying, like, they just want North Korea, not South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And Stregobor saying, that's fine, we'll be fine. They just want this, they don't want this. And another group of mages, what looks like half the room, but winds up getting outvoted, saying they're not going to stop there. They'll take the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we could stop them. It almost seems like Stregobor is strategically saying no.
He's not a nice guy. We've already talked about that on the last episode. But
and is he Stregobor? Is Stregobor his real name, or was he taking Stregobor? What was the name of the guy? Is he taking someone else's name in the first episode?
Oh, Stregobor is his name.
Is his name? He's taken the name of someone else. He took the name of
somebody else when he was in that.
I was wondering, like,
Blaviken.
I couldn't. Yes, in Blaviken, I could not remember if Stregobor is his real name and he's taking someone else's name.
Stregobor is his name. Yeah.
I don't like him.
Yeah.
And this
fun fact: the actor that plays Stregobor was the voice of Grand Admiral Thrawn on Star Wars Rebels. So he's a good villain.
Oh. Typecasted.
Yeah.
So, this school,
Aretuza,
we get to see more into its politics and its other students, and it's kind of funny that they start talking about, like, oh, I hated botany too, and I start thinking herbology. She hated herbology.
That was when...
I was like, is this just like a jacked up Hogwarts?
When Yennefer shows up and those girls are, I don't know, they're experimenting with the plants or something. And she says, yeah, they tell you that you're not supposed to mix the herbs, but they want you to come to them for the answers. And then she shows them a bunch of things that she's learned on her own. Yeah. And basically, like, makes LSD for them or something. And they trip out. And she kind of has a bad influence on these girls a little bit there. Yeah. Then she takes them down there to the
eels, where the eels are. She even has, like, almost a conversation with one of her former Yannicka.
Yeah. She said, "Are you something like? Are you still
you?
there?
Are you still there?"
Or something. One of those girls smarts off to her, and she's like, "Oh, we shouldn't be down here. We shouldn't do this."
Yeah.
And she says, "You'll have a home here forever."
Yeah. Kind of like, well, you're not good enough. You will be in this pond in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Not too long. Give it time. This, I think, though, was a moment where the timeline back and forth didn't get to me, because it was very explanatory. It wasn't as vague as the former episodes, and probably because we're getting near the end of it.
Right.
they were just kind of like, okay, now we need to really make the watcher realize this is a timeline jumping show.
There was this really, really cool little moment. The first time we meet Siri, when she's playing that game on the street with those other kids, there's a moment when she looks up to the side and you see like there's an empty doorway there. She feels something. And then we see that moment again here.
Yes.
So I did notice
in the first episode, you're like, what's she looking at? There's somebody there. In this episode, you realize it was Geralt
He was there.
Watching her.
So and like things like that makes the weird timeline thing pay off, and I enjoy those things. Mm-hmm. But I think that over the course of the entire season, it was very messy for me, just for me.
Yeah.
But this is my opinion.
So we get to see Calanthe, however you pronounce her.
Again, being stubborn.
Again, being very stubborn. Faking him out with a fake one.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
That's how he... Well, see, okay, so that's how he found out that she was lying to him. As he was watching the kids play the game, where Siri was, and that girl had asked Calanthe, the girl pretending to be Siri, she said, can I go say goodbye to my friends? She goes to the group where Siri is, and she bows to Siri and says, princess, and walks away.
But
so Geralt saw that.
Did you notice, though, that mysteriously when he's just been lied to, and at first he didn't think it was a lie. He's walking down the hallway, and mysteriously the side door opens that leads him down to that door to see this. Like, the door opened by itself. Like, it wasn't Geralt that opened it. It just
didn't see that.
This mysterious, like, wall door opens that sends him on this back road trapdoor hallway that leads him to that door to see the lie. Do you think that was Mousesack going, like...
I don't know, because I never noticed that.
Yeah, go back. This is why I watch things 3 or 4 times, because there's so much you can miss.
You're trying really hard to get me to watch this show a 3rd time.
I work for Netflix. So, I enjoyed this episode. It really showed us a different side of episode 1, how we got to episode 1.
Yeah, I enjoy that aspect.
It tied it in. Tied it in well. This Vigilforts,
I liked him. He was cool.
He would have been a good Jafar.
I suppose so.
Kind of reminded me of Jafar. You know who, and this is another tangent, but do you know who would have made the best Jafar? No. I was unhappy with the Jafar casting in this live action. Still haven't seen the live action. I think
it's
a lot
on
of
Disney Plus now, by the way.
It is on Disney Plus. Eric Dane. I met him. He was sitting beside Edge at the Comic-Con we went to in Knoxville. He was in Haven.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
He was in Secondhand Lions at the end.
Yeah.
You remember the movie Secondhand Lions?
Yeah,
He came in at the end. He's like, my great-grandfather used to tell me. He would have been a great Jafar.
I don't think that he is the right ethnicity, though, is he?
He is.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's Arabian.
Oh.
He is.
Well, good for him.
He is. Okay, enough of that tangent. I've not gotten to say that yet, but that's one main thing I've always stood by. I think it subconsciously held me from watching the live action Aladdin is. I wanted Eric Dane as Jafar. He would have been perfect. Eric Balfour, not Eric Dane. Eric Dane is Grey's Anatomy. Eric Balfour is his name.
Okay.
He would have been a perfect Jafar. Look him up.
Argue that.
Look him up. You'll also feel the same way. So we this Vigilforts, he recruits her. He's in this area that Nilfgaard's taken over with her ex-boyfriend.
I took it as he is recruiting her on behalf of Tissaia, because Tissaia said that Yennefer was the best student that she ever had.
Yes.
But
Tissaia didn't know she was there. He used those words against her.
Okay. Well, and also Triss Marigold, she said that she had been looking for her for years.
Yeah.
So I guess everybody's looking for her.
It was cool to see Triss in it again. Mm-hmm. Triss showed back up from the episode with the with Faltist and the sister.
It makes sense that Tissaia is asking other people to look for her, though, because the last time we saw them together, it was not a good encounter,
relationship,
not a good meeting. Basically, Yennefer said, "I don't need you. Go away. You know,
yeah.
You can leave now."
You can leave. There's the door. Yeah. Leave your resume with the person at the front, and we'll call you. I enjoyed this episode. I think it definitely felt like a finale setup.
It did very much so.
It felt like, okay, the next one I'm watching is definitely the end of this series. And it's definitely the end of this show.
The finale was also great.
It was fantastic. Shall we?
Where we are now.
Shall we move on?
Let's do it.
Chapter 8, Much More. The source story is based on something more from a very popular book to draw from for this first season, Sword of Destiny.
Indeed.
Yennefer and the mages reinforce the strategic keep of Sodden Hill, aiming to prevent Nilfgaardian forces from invading the rest of the northern kingdoms. Having escaped from Cintra, Geralt, however, encounters a merchant burying the bodies of dead refugees. He defends the man from undead monsters, which we know as ghouls from the game, but is wounded and loses consciousness. Ciri is awakened by the woman she met earlier and discovers the dead bodies of her harassers from her former kingdom, killed in gruesome ways. The woman takes her to her farm. The Nilfgaardians launch their attack, with both sides utilizing magic and inflicting heavy casualties on each other. Tissaia attempts to talk down Fringilla, but Fringilla disables her. Vigilforts fights Cahir, but loses and is thrown down a hill. Geralt awakes to find himself on a merchant's cart en route to the man's farm. When Vigilforts wakes up, he kills a northern sorcerer, revealing himself as a turncoat. When Nilfgaardian soldiers begin to overrun the fort, Yennefer channels a massive stream of fire, then seemingly disappears. In his delirious state, Geralt dreams about his mother, Visena. He later arrives at the same farm, and upon hearing the woman talk to the man about Ciri, heads into the forest. Seeing a vision of Geralt searching for Yennefer, Ciri wakes up and wanders into the forest where she finds Geralt, asking him, who is Yennefer?
And I will say, I think that's the perfect ending, because from the start, we know that these two are destined to unite at some point, and in the last moment, and they've never met before, they don't know each other, but they've both been looking for one another, and they finally find each other, and they have that embrace. That was a really great moment, and I love that.
Off air, but before we started recording, I said it's kind of like in Stranger Things. After the end of that first season, like, it's about time we found Will.
That's true.
Just kind of like
season
this,
looking for
like,
him.
good Lord, we spent the whole season looking for him. There they are.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to meet each other.
Very satisfying.
And guess what? You don't get to see the next piece of dialogue till 2021, when we release season 2.
Well, maybe by 2021, I will have watched it again and
been
have
like,
a better understanding.
Okay,
of this
I
thing.
get things now. So I think that this was, and you made this comment when I showed up earlier. You were rewatching the finale, the opening scene plus the opening credits. The opening credits leading up to this has been a different animal or signia,
different symbol or whatever,
a different symbol, with a different entrance song. And in this one, in the finale, it has shown all signias that we have had leading up to this. They morph into like the Witcher symbol, the White Wolf of Geralt.
That was really cool.
And it's almost like this metaphorical, beautiful visual of they're all tangled together.
And everything has led to this.
Yeah. And it was really done well. The video game like fight with the ghouls, it's like that. When the ghouls, if you're around corpses at a certain time of night, ghouls come out to feed on those corpses.
I remember that. That's right.
And I watched it through the first time. I was like, what are these creatures? They're like deadites from Evil Dead. Then I played the game a little bit. Then I watched through it a second time. And I was like, okay, they did this well. This is a very video game-esque. They just, if it's a certain time of night and you're walking through a area where there's a lot of dead bodies, whether it be, a sickness or battle that have caused these piles of dead bodies, ghouls then raise up and start to feed on these dead bodies.
Right.
And I was like, that was very well done. Kind of like the only good moment of Doom is when it went first person.
I remember that.
That was the only good, and that's our one of our favorite underrated sci-fi friends, sci-fi comic book. What's his name? He's in The Boys.
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban. That's
He was in
also him.
And The Rock.
He's the hero that goes into first person and kills all the monsters. There's also a very... I talked about this a little bit off air with you, is it got weird hearing them say the North so much in this episode, because then my mind kind of goes to Game of Thrones, hearing the North. The North never
Winterfell.
forgets. The North is rising. Yeah. Winter's coming to the North first. It hits the North first.
Well, all worlds have a North, Tyler.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's just hearing the North. Maybe it's coming off of 8 years of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's
so. But I also love the glimpse of his childhood. Now, this is what you missed.
Okay.
In a flashback of his childhood, while he's out of his mind from the ghoul bite, he's in the back there, and he first sees a little bit of a flashback of his childhood of his mother cooking for him. Mm-hmm. And then the kid looks over in his fireplace, and there's this little gold dragon in his fireplace, moving around, walking around. And it's Borge.
What? Why?
He was just at his house.
What?
Because his mother kept him. His mother was a mage. Geralt's mother was a mage who kept Borge as a pet. That's how Borge knew to look out for him.
Are you sure he wasn't just tripping and saw
That's
this?
what we're given. All I can report on right now is what we're giving in the episode. We are given this flashback to his childhood, to where the mother is serving this ridiculous amount of food considering they are not wealthy. Like a banquet's worth of food.
I noticed that too.
And he looks over at the fireplace to their pet dragon, and it's Borge, his little gold dragon Borge. And he says, it's magic. It's not real, Geralt. And...
Okay, so that still makes me think he's just tripping, and he wasn't really there.
And it might be. But all I can report is what's in the episode. Go back and watch this finale. And in that flashback, it's Borge.
Okay.
The gold dragon that sought him out. Mm-hmm. And that kind of answers of why he would know to protect dragons. Why he would seek him out on purpose is because, as a kid, the mother raised him to protect him.
Even if he wasn't really there, Geralt's pretty famous now. I mean, everybody knows the song.
That's true.
About
Toss a coin to your witcher.
So.
We also get this really cool battle at the keep.
That was a great battle sequence.
Very cool.
I love...
From day to night. Just great battle sequence.
I always have been a fan of, like, in any type of storytelling, when you have magicians and mages and sorcerers, like, that can use just their hands and their magic as weapons. Mm-hmm. You know, like... and Jedi using the Force and all that stuff.
Choke people.
This whole battle of mages, just like there was one really cool sequence. Cora, she just held her hand up and made a fist, and it just killed.
It's
all
like
those
crushed
dudes.
the hearts of the guards.
I love that.
It's
just
really
effortless.
cool.
That's so cool. They had the thing where the mushrooms grew up and exploded and
it was
poisoned
Triss
all of them.
Marigold.
That was cool.
Very Mario effect. The mushrooms started growing.
I love this whole battle.
Even on the bad guy side, on the Niflgaard side, we had
when they made themselves into the bombs.
They basically gave up their entire they call it chaos.
You're right.
Don't use all your chaos. Chaos is what powers you. Their chaos of a mage is like their life force, like their soul,
I guess.
And so these mages that are standing beside her are giving up their chaos to become these nuclear cannonballs. Basically. And that said a lot, because she would just look at these other court mages for Nilfgaard and just look at them, and they'd know, my turn to basically
in the
give
previous
my life.
episode when Fringilla and all of them were at that meeting with the rest of the mages, she said something about how they all were willing to sacrifice themselves for their cause. Mm-hmm. So,
and at first she said, we just want Cintra. We don't want We're just taking Centro. We're not taking the rest of the world. Y'all are crazy. We're not doing that. Enough to sway a popular vote, basically. And then in this episode, we kind of see, no, she's lost her mind just as much.
Yeah.
She might be the brainchild behind this.
She's bad news.
She is. And it's crazy that Yennefer was so nice to her when they were in their school days.
Was she? I didn't really remember
was.
any interactions with him.
She
One
was.
thing I remember about Fringilla from before was
She hurt her hand.
she was the first one to try to do the spell about
Aloha Mora.
basically
Float the rock.
floating the rock, and the teacher didn't even bother to tell him at this point, hey, when you use magic, it affects, like, you have to give something up, and it like messed up her hand and everything.
Magic always comes with a price, dearie.
She was the first to do that, and then I remember she was set up with that king, and Yennefer was going to go to Nilfgaard, and she became beautiful and stole him away from her. So they have a little bit of beef there. So that's all I remember about her.
Yeah, if you, there are a few early episodes where they show that schooling, where Yennefer and
Fringilla.
I always want to say Fringelia. Fringilla have a couple of little moments together where she comforts her.
Yeah.
Even in that meeting, Fringilla said, I have Yennefer to thank. I was supposed to go somewhere else. But she just couldn't have it.
Things turned out
Imagine
pretty
if
good for her there in
Nilfgaard had Yennefer. They might not have rose into this.
Oh, but they could have, and it could have been a lot worse, too.
It could have been a lot
You know?
worse. Because Yennefer during those days were, I just want power and
That's
escape.
true.
Ooh, maybe season 2 will have
This is
answer
another
some
one of
these
those
things.
instances where, destiny sort of worked out the way it
Yeah.
was supposed to.
Good old Destiny. There's a lot of mention of Vesemir in here.
Oh, yeah.
It's the first episode where we get to hear Vesemir. And I said earlier, now playing the game and meeting Vesemir, this kind of...
His teacher.
His teacher. Yeah. Geralt's... I don't want to say Yoda, but Geralt's Gandalf. Or
Yes.
Geralt's, old
He was
Herschel.
like his pseudo-dad. I mean,
Yeah, he was his... Yeah. And like I said earlier, now meeting Vesemir and hearing about Vesemir, if I might be amongst these social media fiends that say if it's not Mark Hamill, I'm not watching. I'm gonna watch season 2, but it would be perfect.
he'd be great.
It'd be fantastic.
I loved also the little fight between Vilgefortz
Yes.
and Kahir, and he kept doing the thing where he could magically make his sword reappear.
Part of
in
his chaos.
That was really cool.
Part of his
I
chaos
enjoyed
was
that.
to conjure.
So he turns out to be a bad guy, though, right?
They
So why is he fighting
say a
Kahir?
turncoat. I think it was
What's the
almost
deal?
as if this was because they're all linked. All these mages are linked almost on a. Have you watched? You've watched enough, I think, of Young Justice to know. Remember when Miss Martian links them in missions to where they can just talk, but not have to talk? It's like a psychonetic link.
Sure.
So Yennefer has linked them all psychonetically.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a show. Like, since Yennefer is linked psychonetically with him, if he were to just walk up to Kahir and go like, hey, we're in cahoots together, so we're just going to talk. But maybe he had to put on a show because he knew they were linked.
I don't know. I don't buy into that at all. That doesn't make sense to me. That was a pretty intense fight.
It was. But why would Kahir, who has killed up until now, just kick him down a hill?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm Confucian about this. So,
We also get to see a kind of a flash of Renfrey shows back up.
oh yeah, we mentioned that earlier about how Renfrey were kind of led to believe in episode 1 she's going to be a really big deal. And of course she died, and then we see her again here, and that was it.
Yeah.
In his little vision when he was sick.
So she happens to be one of the. We are led to believe earlier that she's one of the cursed princesses.
Right.
So, do you think moving forward there's a chance that she's not actually dead?
Could be. I think anything's possible in a fantasy world like this.
Yeah. Because she also kind of reminded me though of played Talia in Dark Knight Rises. She's also in.
Oh, she's French. I know who you're talking about. She was in Inception.
She's a Christopher Nolan person.
Yeah,
She's
I know who you're talking about. I don't know her
She
name.
kind of reminded me of her.
Yeah, I can see that.
But so, I also one thing that I latched onto was Geralt's is not in much of this finale.
True. That's true.
I don't hate that.
I don't either.
Because I think what makes a good show is you can tell these other stories of these other people and not oversaturate the main character.
Yeah.
We got a lot of Yennefer in this.
I'm okay with that.
And she's not just pretty, she's a great character. You get to see the growth of her character over these 8 chapters. And that's another thing. Yes, absolutely. Another thing about that is, have you noticed these Netflix originals that are just 8 chapters, 8 episodes? You notice that's kind of a thing with them?
I hadn't thought about that.
Go back to
Stranger Things is
2 and 3 are 8.
Okay.
Right. 1 is 8, 2 is 9, 3 is 8.
Oh, okay. That's
And
right.
then Umbrella Academy is 8.
Oh, yeah.
This is 8. It's
Interesting.
kind of weird, like, is that all they
The magic number.
The magic number. It's my favorite number, so I'm fine with it. So we get to see this moment where he's being healed by this other sorceress who is his quote-unquote mother.
Right.
Is that real?
I think so.
You think
I
it's
think so.
real and she's doing it without the person who saved him's knowledge?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was real, and I think that she'll be back. We'll have to definitely learn why, because it's been mentioned a couple times that it was almost like she had no choice but to give him up to the Witchers or
It's
whatever.
like it's destiny.
Yeah. So
was
and she
his
wouldn't answer any of his
destiny.
questions,
Yeah.
but she clearly cares. It's clearly an emotional thing.
Well, she
for
wouldn't
her.
save him if she didn't care.
Yeah.
So, but it's almost like this, when she's like, I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah.
Because of destiny.
Could be.
Almost like there's this prophecy that he's the Witcher of the prophecy. Because they keep talking about this prophecy.
Did they? I didn't notice that.
There's a few episodes where they talk about the prophecy. And apparently this prophecy has to do with Ciri, Geralt, and Yennefer. All 3 entangled into this prophecy.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, and now now playing the game, I can say that now after watching this show, playing just a little bit of the third one, Yennefer is perfectly cast, first of all.
Oh, yeah, she was great.
She's fantastic.
She's really young. She's like 23 or 24 years old.
And this is not her first go-around. She is actually in an Emmy-nominated show. Was, not anymore. She was in an Emmy-nominated show for BBC, maybe? Can't remember, but I think it's a BBC show that was Emmy-nominated. And it was just a little bit before she got casted as Yennefer. Because she's the same age, almost.
I think you're thinking of Wanderlust.
Wanderlust! Not the BBC show. I'm talking about the movie Wanderlust. That's where because when I first started watching this, I was like, I've seen her before. I swear I've seen her before.
Right.
But, I liked this show. I liked this episode. I thought it was a good finale.
It was a good finale.
As a good tie-in from what we've already seen, but also kind of set up for, okay, what's next?
Yeah, clearly there's lots more to tell since our heroes are all sort of, well, at least Geralt and Ciri are finally united in the end there. So there's lots more to tell, I'm sure. I will look forward to season 2. Truly, I will, even though The Witcher has not been my favorite thing that we've watched in the past year of doing the podcast. It was fun because I love fantasy, great fight sequences, great special effects, great acting, performances. And overall, the story was good, just had sort of some frustration with the way it was laid out in the timeline and all that. But overall, yeah, I did enjoy it. and clearly the rest of the world is too, because it is like the number one streaming show right now.
Well, yeah. I've enjoyed it, and this is basically, our final thoughts. I loved it. I know I say I love a lot, but I just love being entertained.
Yeah.
Basically, it's not hard for me to say I love something when it comes to nerd culture.
Amen.
I loved the dark fantasy of it. I loved the grittiness of it. I loved the casting.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the new world aspect of it. Like, Star Wars is its own world. Lord of the Rings is its own world. Harry Potter is its own
You're
world.
saying you love the universe of The Witcher.
Yeah, it's the universe of The Witcher.
Gotcha.
And I love that we now have this. And this is a new universe to us. This is a learning opportunity for us. But I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was a good wrap-up. Also a good... it felt like the end of a continuating story. Kind of like the end of the Battle of Helm's Deep. You knew that story was over, but there was another one we were going into.
Okay.
It kind of felt like the end of the Lord of the Rings too. And Yennefer just vanished. And it also kind of leaves you with that, well, where the heck did she go?
Right.
So I enjoyed it. I think
I want to see Yennefer teaching Ciri how to use her power and how to control that. In the
well,
season.
I don't want to spoil too many things, but at the beginning of the
Witcher 3 they're all together as a family.
Geralt's training her as a Witcher.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be kind of cool if we lead to that aspect.
We could see that too,
yeah.
I guess.
But it'll be intriguing, but sadly we have to wait a whole year. So that is the end of our breakdown of The Witcher Season 1, the Netflix original show. Please send us your thoughts. Please send us if we have missed anything for you lore fanatics that probably know more about The Witcher than we do. We would love to hear from you.
It can't be hard to find somebody who knows more about it than we do, because I feel like
this is new to
totally
us.
ignorant about this thing.
I'm definitely new to this world. And that has mainly been due to just time constraint. I have a lot of nerdledge in my brain, and I did not know if I could take on a whole nother universe. So, what are we talking about next week?
I'll tell you.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
There he goes.
There he goes. He can leap tall buildings in a single bound. He is faster than a locomotive. He's bulletproof.
He can do anything.
He can do anything.
He's Superman.
He's overrated.
Absolutely.
He is blue and red. He's like the titular character of superhero.
He is the archetype
Yes.
superhero, I would say.
Yes. We are going to do a complete character breakdown of the Man of Steel.
And what's interesting about this is that neither one of us are fans of Superman. We appreciate him for what he is and his contributions.
What he's paved way for.
Sure, to the superhero genre, of course.
Sure.
But we're not big fans, really. But we're gonna give
He's
him
a
his
Boy Scout.
We're gonna give him his fair time here.
Sure.
And he deserves it, I guess.
Most of our character breakdowns have been our favorites.
Yeah.
And somewhat grittier characters. So
Yeah.
we thought it was fair.
It's time.
It's fair to pay tribute to the light side of superherodom. We know that there are massive amounts of Superman fans out there, so it was only fair. So why not
Yeah.
start 2020 with a little bit more optimistic thinking of let's give people their fair share.
And I'm trying to read some Superman comic books and stuff.
How's that
so I
going?
can talk about it.
Good.
I haven't gotten very far yet, but I'm going to try to really pick up the pace
Yeah.
and have a lot to talk about next time.
So yeah, we're going to be breaking down the character and some of the best moments of the Man of Steel himself, the Kryptonian Superman. If you're a Superman fan, please please email us,
Yeah,
tweet us
do
your
it.
your favorite Superman moments or stories. If you dislike Superman, kind of like us, let us know why. Let us know if you agree with us or disagree with us. This may cue a rant, so I hope you're ready, JD.
You're going to rant?
No, this may cue up a rant from our dear friend who's a Superman fanatic.
Great.
Who is a fan of the Alien.
How you gonna diss my boy like
Who
that?
would diss my boy like
How you gonna do
that? Big Blue is the Man of Steel. Like, he's the best.
Come on, man.
Please.
Come on, bro.
Come on, guys. Come on. We're ready for it. We have to be ready for it.
I don't care.
Okay. Well, that's what we're doing next week. We want to thank you again to all of our listeners, all of our supporters, all of our Patreon supporters. We will have going soon, like we said on Wednesday, the newest Patreon-only material that will be coming soon. We want to thank everyone for a fantastic 2019 again and an early start to 2020. Thank you so much. Willman, Witcher's great. I hope that you watch it again and notice the things that maybe I have shown you that you don't know or you missed.
Again this time next year.
I foresee that you were on your phone a lot during this. Were you? Were you on your phone a lot during this show? Yeah, you were. You were. So
I tried not to be.
Getting close to season 2, I hope that you will get off the phone and watch this again. Again, people, thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Brother, I got no more else. I'm feeling rough.
I'm witchered out. So
witchered out.
Well, you know what?
Toss a coin to us, and we will discuss more nerdledge on many different things. So, yeah, we'll talk more nerd stuff.
Hey man, get to feeling better. We got to talk about the Man of Steel next week. So you gotta be at your best.
I guess it's gonna be an overrated episode, just like him.
And we will catch you nerds later.
You've been listening to the 30 and Nerdy podcast with your hosts, Josh Davis and Tyler McDaniel. Brought to you by Freddy Cat Productions, Encore Theatrical Company, Advertising Expressions. 30 and Nerdy is a Next Wave podcast and a Badcast Company production. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Join the conversation using the hashtag 30andNerdyPod. Find us in the Pod Nation on podchaser.com and rate this episode. Got something to say? Let us know. Email us at 30andnerdypod@gmail.com. Cheers to you, nerds.